The Republican filth, the Christian fascists in Congress continue to line themselves up behind the Antichrist. The majority whip, Tom Emmer, endorsed him this week. And that completes the set of Christian fascist House leaders, Scalise and this filthy Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House, this Christian Nazi, and Tom Emmer. Now, among the rank and file, you have the Q bitch, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has tried to tout herself as Trump's running mate. I hope he does pick her, honest to God. And she was due to host some sort of commemoration in Florida tomorrow on January 6th. But the venue where it's to be held canceled it because when they realized what this Q bitch was going to talk about, the January 6th insurrection, how she was going to say it was all done as an FBI sting operation. It was all FBI people involved. It had nothing to do with real patriots. When the venue heard that, they canceled it. It was to be held in Kissimmee, Florida. And I don't know about the ratio of Republicans to Democrats in Kissimmee, Florida, or in that whole fucked up state, frankly. I just know that it's become an insane asylum. And people who live there, you have a new nutcase who just moved down there. This miserable little shit, well, he's not so little anymore, Sean Hannity, who had made a big declaration, and everybody in New York went, "Oh, Sean, baby, don't leave, don't leave." He made a big declaration. He's had it with New York. Well, listen, punk, New York's had it with you too, honest to God. But just one more reason to leave Florida now that Sean Hannity is a new citizen there. Now, of course, the Orange Antichrist's best way of staying out of prison is to win the White House this coming November. That's his best option. And some polling does suggest that if he's convicted of any of these criminal charges against him, it could reduce support, among the Christian devils who are backing him. But for now, he is very competitive with Biden, or leads Biden in surveys where it concerns a general election in this country. And I will forever, if I live another 50 years, I will forever be unable to figure out what happened. I mean, I know in theory what happened to so-called Republicans, but after everything that this orange puke has done to this country and the Christian religion and the Republican Party and his attempts to destroy democratic small d governance, I am flabbergasted, shocked, blown away, freaked out that so many Americans still say they support him, they will vote for him, and they love him. Oh, my God. Now, it gets worse than that. Some polling shows more Americans are now accepting the stolen election lie bullshit that Trump is putting out there. According to what I have here, this past week, the Washington Post, University of Maryland, found that of the people they polled, only 62% said Biden's win in 2020 was legitimate. 62%. Which means 38% don't think it was. Now, that's down from 69% 2 years ago. 69% of Americans said that Biden's win in 2020 was legit, which even that meant that 31% didn't think it was. What a bunch of assholes. But now that number has dropped from 69 to 62% who think that Biden's election or win was legitimate, which proves once again the power that Adolf Hitler knew was contained within the big lie, that if you are going to make a political lie, make it as enormous as you can. The Jews are responsible for World War I and Germany's defeat. Now, How can you get bigger than that if you're Adolf Hitler? You can't. But you keep pushing that lie until finally the citizens of your country say nothing. During Kristallnacht, during the revelations that 6 million Jews had been butchered and slaughtered by the Nazi death machine. Well, Trump, no, somebody told him about this. I don't believe he ever read Mein Kampf. The fucker can't read. He couldn't read anything. He barely can read off a teleprompter because he's senile. He is a Messiah, an Antichrist who can't read, has no education whatsoever. But Trump somehow figured out that if he could come up with a big lie, he can't say the Jews caused his defeat, but he can say that the election was stolen from him. That's the big lie. And he has pushed this big lie ever since he lost. As a matter of fact, he started pushing it before he ran in 2016. That if he lost, it would be because it was stolen. So Trump took the Hitlerian idea of telling the big lie one step further. That's what Trump does where it concerns fascism. He took it one step further and said, not only did they steal the election from me, but I knew they were going to steal the election from me before I even ran. And then he builds on that. Jesus. And on the question of blame for what happened January 6th, the attempt to overthrow the government here, the same pollsters found that 34% of Republicans thought that attempt to overthrow the U.S. government was probably or definitely true, that the FBI, not Trump, was responsible for inciting the riot. Well, Hitler really knew something, didn't he? Huh? The evil fucker. He completely knew, even 100 years ago, in the 1920s, he knew something, and he put it all down when he was in prison. I hope when Trump goes to prison, well, he can't write. I mean, the son of a bitch would know which end of a pencil to use, and I'm sure that a computer to him, it looks like something from outer space. Biden's campaign manager, Julie Rodriguez, referred to this Make America Great Again bullshit, Trump's slogan, when Ms. Rodriguez said, quote, led by Donald Trump, MAGA Republicans are running on an extreme platform of undermining the will of the American people who vote in free and fair elections, weaponizing the government against their political opponents, and parroting the rhetoric of dictators. End quote. All right. One of Trump's attorneys, Alina Habba, is she that pouty little creature that shows up at his New York trial, fraud trial, the one where he's already been declared responsible? It's just judge. Which judge is this one? It's the one trying to set the amount that this son of a bitch is going to have to pay to the state of New York. I think she is the one who sits to what would be Trump's left with her surgically enhanced lips and her little pouty look. I think that's her. She called attention, though, the other day to the drunk on the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh. She says, quote, I think it should be a slam dunk in the Supreme Court. I have faith in them. People like Kavanaugh, who the president fought for, who the president went through hell to get into place. He'll step up. End quote. You hear what she's saying there. That she's pretty convinced that the Supreme Court justice, who has a very serious problem with booze and attacking girls at parties, will step up for Trump and vote against whatever Trump wants him to vote against and in favor of whatever Trump wants him to vote in favor of. And by the way, she told that to, I think it was last night, on little Sean, well, he's not so little anymore, Sean Hannity's program on the Fox Sewer. And Alina Habba added that the justices would step up, quote, not because they're pro-Trump, but because they are pro-law, because they're pro-fairness. And the law on this is very clear. Well, Miss Alina Hababa, Hamama, whatever the hell your name is, yes, the law is very clear. It's stated in paragraph 3, we've all come to learn, of the 14th Amendment that says a piece of human shit like Donald Trump cannot hold office because he was directly involved in attempting to overthrow the government of the United States. Come on, Alina Haba, wake up, okay? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.